Very good afternoon, friends. First of all, I must acknowledge that I am standing between you and lunch. So I'll try to be as brief and try and keep this as interesting as possible. Let me first start with a small story about myself. I see a lot of youngsters sitting here. I am no longer young, but let me give you a story. I was studying at IIM Ahmedabad and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My business plan was ready. I was also allocated an industrial shed. And my professor knew that I want to be an entrepreneur after I graduate. And with a surname like Mittal, what else I could have done? So I was to start my business. He sent me to a seminar being organized by Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, Ahmedabad. And I went to, as a very obedient student, I went to that seminar. And I was very impressed with one of the speakers there, Dr. H.C. Rawal. So I said, if I have knowledge like him, nobody will be able to beat me in entrepreneurship. So instead of continuing with my entrepreneurial journey, I decided to join the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Well, friends, that was the end of my entrepreneurial dreams. I have been preaching entrepreneurship for the last 3 decades, but have never become one. The message which I want to give you is that knowledge is important, but action is more important. Act. And in the hindsight, if I would not have joined that Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, possibly I would have become another entrepreneur. So the moral of the story is action is more important than knowledge. Let me now take you to a different plane. I work for the Department of Science and Technology in the Ministry of Science and Technology. Every year, we send across 30 students for Olympiad. How is our performance in the Olympics, the sports Olympics? Nothing to write home about. One odd medal here and there. But in this Olympics of science, which is maths, physics and chemistry, 15 students go every year. 15 students go every year for the last 20 years. And none of them have come back without a medal. So what happens to our entrepreneurial talent? We have the best of the brains. Naturally, you have competed, and that's the basis of that's the initial stage of science. Now we get into technology. So what happens to those brilliant brains? We lose them on the way because of lack of an ecosystem. I'll talk about that a little later. Let me also now, how do the technology-led businesses come to the heart of economic development on that knowledge economy that we are talking about? Let me give you a story. Again. All of you have heard the name of Albert Einstein. I am sure all of you would have heard the name of Albert Einstein. So he was a teacher. As a teacher, he was supposed to take the exam of his students. So he wrote a question paper and gave it to his secretary for typing. Those days there were no computers, you couldn't cut and paste. So he wrote it in hand and gave it to him. The secretary went to his desk, started typing, then he realized that this is exactly the same question paper which was given last year. So he went back running to Einstein. Mr. Einstein, Dr. Einstein, what have you done? This is exactly the last year's question paper. And students have a habit of looking at the last year's question paper. Einstein very coolly said, this year I have changed the answers. This year I have changed the answers. The problems will continue to be the same, whether it is disease, whether it is ill health, whether it is illiteracy, The problems continue to be the same. Can we find new innovative solutions to tackle those issues? That's what the crux of what I'm going to share with you. Let me give you two examples, two stories of people like you, entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs who were like you. And can we learn some lessons from them? The first story I will tell you about Subramani. Subramani was a young student at Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. He was a biotechnologist. So what Subramani did was, he created artificial flowers made out of paper, which will look like real flower, which will smell like real flowers, and which will also, when you touch that flower, it will give you a feeling of a real flower. So now you have a flower made out of paper, which will stay on your table, looking fresh, smelling nice for almost 3 years. What he did was, he coated the paper with a hygroscopic enzyme. Hygroscopic means which absorbs moisture from the air. So when you touch that, it gives you that wet feeling which a real flower gives you. Then, using a nanotech spray, the fragrance would last for almost 3 years. So now you have on your table natural looking flowers, real smelling flowers, and which are almost real, and you need to replace it only once in 3 years. So Subramani was a winner in one of our contests which we do with Intel, and for a global contest of 60 countries, we sent him to US. The contest was held at UC Berkeley. He landed at San Francisco airport, and he was carrying a bunch of 40-50 flowers with him. He was carrying and was passing through the quaternine and the customs. When he was passing through the customs, suddenly the customs officer and the quaternine people, they shout in unison, "Hey man, hey young man, where are you going?" So he said, "I have come here for a contest, and see, we are not talking about the contest. Why are you carrying these flowers? Don't you know that in US, the plant material and the meat products are not allowed?" So he said, "But these are artificial flowers." He said, "Come on man, these are looking like real flowers, they are smelling like real flowers, they are feeling like real flowers. Don't cheat us, come this side." So he was taken aside. A lot of haggling happened. Finally, they called their botanist who did the dissection, gave him a certificate that these are artificial flowers. And then everybody was very happy. All of them posed with those flowers, and all the quaternine customs, and everybody posed for photographs. Then in the evening, he went to a florist, so that in order to confuse the jury the next day, he was looking at a real flower which looks similar to his flower. So 20-30 minutes, the florist got irritated. He said, "Come on man, pick up a flower, go, leave." So he said, "No, this is an artificial flower. I'm looking for a real flower of the same shape, size, and color." So the florist was experienced enough. So he said, "How many of these you are carrying?" He said, "About 30-40 of these flowers I am carrying." He said, "No, I want to order 10,000 of these flowers. Tell me your cost." He said, $10 a piece. He said, "I'm right away giving you the order for 10,000 flowers." He wrote a check of $100,000, and he gave it to Subramani, and check and the order was given. Next day in the business plan competition, Subramani presented just 4 slides. Just 4 slides. The first slide was from the Quaternine Authority, that certificate that these are artificial flowers. The second one was that photograph which the customs people had taken there. The third one was the order which he received for 10,000 flowers, and the last one was the copy of that check. Needless to say, Subramani was a winner in that contest, just with those 4 slides. The story doesn't end here. The story, in fact, begins from here. Where are these flowers made? These flowers are made in a remote village across the river Ganges in the state of Bihar, where fisherwomen weave these fishing nets. They cut and stitch these fishing nets. 3,000 of them, their income levels went up by about 400 rupees per day. What I'm trying to tell you is, technology is not about high-end, it can actually benefit people at the masses. It can increase income levels at the lower end. Second story. This is right here in Delhi. We had a young entrepreneur, a young Sardarji, Harjap Singh Maan. Dr. Jitendra Minhas, who was sitting here, he was from his incubator. I don't know whether he's still here. Okay. So he was from his incubator. A young fellow, just started, nothing great in technology. He was in the RFID space, RFID tags. So he went to Shipra, Sun City, where there are about 15,000 houses. This is about 6-7 years old story. So he went to that place. The vehicles were getting stolen in that area. Every month, about 10 vehicles would get stolen. And the colony was getting a very bad name. The prices were not going up. So he went to the builder. He said, I can fix this. I can fix this. So the owner was happy that, how will you do this? He said, I will put a RFID tag on the key, on the car, and a reader at the gate. And unless all these three things match, the car is not able to enter or go out. So he said, fine. What would be the charges? He said, 500 rupees per car per month, and there are 20,000 vehicles in this area or in this colony. So net business of 1 crore of rupees per month for a startup who is yet to see his first revenue. So Maan is jumping with joy. Maan is actually jumping with joy. Boss, jindagi ban gayi. Little did he realize that in that colony there were 6 resident welfare associations. People who had lost the elections in the resident welfare association, they made sure that no more than 3,000 cars get registered for this. So out of 20,000 cars, just 3,000 got registered for this. I'm sorry. With the result, out of the 8 gates of the colony, only 4 got fitted with the automated system, and 4 had the normal manual system. So now there's a problem. People, those who don't have the automated system, will come to the automated system and would start shouting. Kholta kyun nahi hai, janta nahi main kaun hu, all that which is very usual in this part of the country. And with the result, there were daily fights. The fellow is virtually in tears. So then the group huddled together. Then they said, how do we handle this? Maan deployed deaf and dumb people as gatekeepers. Deaf and dumb people as gatekeepers. Jinko sunta nahi hai, jo bol nahi sakte. So the fellow will still come there. He will start shouting. And the other fellow would go there. He will tell the car fellow, is bichare ko sunta nahi hai, ye bol nahi sakta hai. Why are you shouting? This fellow is internally hurt, but he still overly says, kaise logon ko naukri pe rakh lete hain. And this fellow in the meantime is doing this, he's just folding hands and just saying that you go to gate number 4. You go, you just pass. So this fellow coolly drives there. Well, the system just started, about 3,500 cars were there. 31st of January 2008, Maan held a party for all these deaf and dumb people and their families. This was covered by the media very well. And next day, he took all these copies, put in all the 15,000 houses. People were very impressed. February 2009, he had 18,000 vehicles registered for the automated system. All the 8 gates got fitted with the automated system. Now, he knows the demographic profile of all the residents. Supposing I am a resident of that colony. They know my income levels, they know my family size, they know. In the morning when I am going to the office, at the gate, there's a TV screen. It says, Mr. Mittal, your car insurance expires in 15 days. I pick up a tag of paper from there and deposit it. With my check, my car insurance gets renewed. The insurance company pays for it. In the evening when I am with the family and when I approach the gate, there's a package there. Mr. Mittal, a nice holiday for you. Depending upon my income level, it says a nice holiday for you in Switzerland. In my case, it will say nice package for you in Haridwar, because income levels can be different. So this is called focused advertisement, when you focus on a particular individual. There are 38 locations in this country where people, HNIs, high net worth individuals live. These are very, very focused colonies, where one of the banks in Bombay wanted focused advertisement. So he said, can you do something? So he said, yes, I can do. He was invited by the Cannes Film Festival in the focused advertisement category. The story is amazing. It grew. But again, what did MAN do? MAN became the largest employer of deaf and dumb people in the world. The idea is to bring this to the centerpiece. Now, I was given 4 points to talk about. This was the first point, that how do we bring the technology at the centerpiece of knowledge economy. Think of ideas which are simple, the next point which I was given to talk about is bringing disruptive tech ideas to life. Please believe me, I have spent 30 years in this area of innovation and entrepreneurship across 60 countries. Disruptive innovations rarely happen. The success which you see is to simplify technology. If you simplify technology, the chances of success are very, very high. I was talking to Mr. Narayan Murthy, we are on some boards together. So he explained beautifully well. He said, if you cannot explain your business in one sentence, it is not worth getting into that business. It's as simple as that. I am not saying it, I am not an entrepreneur, but he must have realized this. Bringing disruptive ideas to life, number one, it is challenging, it is time consuming, and it is capital intensive. Changing a market actually. Running out of time. Okay, sure. Give me just 2-3 minutes more. All right. Mantra is to simplify. Apple did it, Google did it. We all know that story. The session previous to me talked about the role of corporates and the academia. We in the Department of Science and Technology work very closely with large corporates like Intel, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, the Bennett and Coleman Group, the Power of Ideas program which we do. I was in Bombay last week, and we have a center there. We set up this is the National Center for Aerospace Innovation and Research. This is an incubator which we have. We have about 90 incubators across the country. These are in IITs, IIMs, National Institutes of Technology, private universities, amazing sort of, we have that. And recently we have started an incubator at Bombay Stock Exchange. Actually in the Bombay Stock Exchange, there are 44 companies which are there. When I asked them that, why does the stock exchange get into an incubator? Their reply was, we have the best of the mentorship which is available because large corporates are with us. We are also able to give the first order to the company. What is most sweet to a company is the first order. It's like your first love. As far as academia is concerned, as I said, there are about 90 incubators which we have across the country. I know I have been warned also, and let me end this with a story. See, the entrepreneurs can help entrepreneurs better. Government doesn't know how to do business. Academia doesn't know how to do business. So we are like blind people trying to define an elephant, but it is the entrepreneurs who. I am reminded of the last story which I'll give you is a youngster, 22-year-old Sanjay Vijay Kumar. He started Startup Village in Cochin. Their target was to promote 1,000 enterprises in 3 years. And they are already well ahead, 700, and the 3 years are yet to be over. So he one day comes to my office. I knew him, he was in our incubator. So he opens the door, and the first thing he says is, Mr. Mittal, you don't know how to promote entrepreneurs. And I thought that's the only thing I know of. So he must have realized the puzzled look on my face. I said, come Sanjay, sit down. So he said, no, I mean, you don't know how youngsters think. So I said, well, okay, but the underlying statement is that you have gone old, so which I accept. So finally he said, would you start an incubator with me? I will like to start an incubator as a young entrepreneur. To discourage him, I said, you bring in half the money, we will give you half the money. I thought he will never get his 50%, my 50% also will be saved. A week later he comes, I'm sitting in my office, barges into my room, picks up my hand from the table. Mr. Mittal, my 50% is done, where is your 50%? I said, hold on Sanjay, we don't, government doesn't work that fast. In any case, we gave him the support after about 3 to 4 months. So he started it. Today, it is one of our most vibrant incubators. He's been invited by Chandrababu Naidu, and with a dream that, can you replicate that model in my state? And he said, my vision is that in Andhra Pradesh, each family should have one computer literate person and one entrepreneur. Can you help me build that dream? He was single-handedly responsible for the student startup policy of Kerala, which is now being replicated by other states all across. I think I can go on with the stories. One disadvantage, which for the audience like you, is when you hear an old man, he has a lot of stories. Thank you very much.